Welcome back to the channel, guys. I appreciate y'all tuning in. So as you've seen the title, basic pliers. Which ones should you have in your garage? Whether you're a mechanic, a DIYer, or just a weekend warrior, what basic pliers should you have in your toolbox? So let's get into that. Alright guys, welcome back. So I appreciate it again. Alright, basic hand pliers. Y'all seen them in the stores. Y'all seen them online. They come in all different sizes and shapes. I know everything does. But, okay. So when we talk about pliers, you have your general purpose pliers that you're going to find in sets. You're going to find in tons of stores, the big box stores. They're going to come in different colored grips. They're going to come in different sizes, but generally they're the same style pliers, and they're usually the basic ones that you can find even in dollar stores. But then you also go into specialty pliers as well too, depending on the jobs that you're going to be doing. But in terms of in your toolbox in your garage, which pliers should you normally have so that way you can cover a wide variety of tasks, right? So let's go ahead and start here. So basically, I've got 7 pliers here. And normally, well, let's go ahead and exclude this one for now. Let's go with the basic 6, okay? Your tongue and groove pliers, we'll start with this one here, or channel locks. Now, I call them tongue and grooves because channel lock is obviously a brand, but most people call them channel locks or whatever. This has been, all these pliers here have been around forever, over the decades. So we're going to go through these first. So you got your basic tongue and groove pliers. You got some hose pliers here. Your slip joint pliers. Your standard needle nose. Your side cutters, dikes, whatever you want to call them, snips. And then linesman pliers. Okay? These are all general basic pliers that most stores carry. And then, you know, you can get them in from different brands, or different colors or whatever, but these are generally your basic pliers that you can get. I would almost consider this one, I would say, as a specialty one. So even if we broke that down, we're still down to 5. You can pretty much go into Walmart and get these same pliers from their brands as well. Okay. Now, when we talk about specialty pliers, that's when you start getting into different applications, whether it's automotive, electrical, and so on. So those are the things that you kind of start wanting to consider, and that's how it starts accumulating, obviously. But generally, I would have to say with these 5 pliers, that should be your baseline of pliers that you start off with. Okay. And when I say baseline, it's because of just the fact of accessibility. With these, you're going to be able to take off fittings. Same thing with these. Whether it's fittings on this bigger open end side, or clamps and stuff, anything to kind of pull. Needle nose gives you better access to tighter spaces, smaller objects. Your side cutters, obviously for cutting, and then linesman pliers, same thing, working with wiring and smaller fittings as well. Usually with linesman pliers, you don't have a large open, you can't really open it really wide, as opposed to like a slip joint plier, and then with that you can obviously open it even further. So same thing with your tongue and groove plier, a little bit larger access onto your fittings and stuff. So these pliers usually cover a lot of the basics of tasks that you'll come across in your day-to-day activities, in your projects. Okay, so let's push these aside. Alright, now when we start getting into specialty tools, especially like when you get into automotive, that's when these will start coming in, like your hose pliers. You got your standard length, you've got extended reach, and then Sorry about that. When you're keeping on extended reach, you've got extended reach needle nose, okay? So that way you can get to your connectors, your hoses that may run back in the engine bay or something. And then if you're getting into, let's say, a plumbing application, then you can start getting into water pump style pliers, like from these Kinetics. As you can see, compared to a regular tongue and groove, the tongue and groove is more flatter on the jaw line, whereas supposedly this one's got a rounded jaw to it, so that way you can cup, pipes, and obviously fittings are round when it comes to plumbing. So these will work better in those applications. And then with these style Kinetics, you get a better grip as well too. So, and keeping with plumbing and hoses and stuff, let's say we're back to automotive. You've got hoses that you want to pinch off. You can get these pinch off pliers, right? So these are made of plastic, and you're allowed to pinch that hose without damaging it. Now there's different styles, obviously, as you can see here, but they pretty much serve the same purpose. And then when we start getting into electrical, that's when your electrical pliers. Oh, and with hoses, if you got hose clamps, then you can get these hose clamp pliers. They got cuts into them, so that way you can grip into those clamps. Let me show. Got a clamp here, so that way I can show y'all. Obviously, I can't remember which. There you go. So as you can see, that clamp will sit right into there. Alright, electrical, okay? You've got wire strippers. There's different kinds of wire strippers. You got this kind. You can have this style here, where the wire strip parts down here. You got a crimper up here. You get some built in with needle noses. This one's an offset one. So there's different styles of that. And then you've got crimpers as well here with built-in cutters on the tip. And then obviously if you're working with wiring, you're probably working with zip ties too, so that way you can clean up your wires, right, and keep them all bundled together. And then you'll need some flush cuts. Okay, so these will actually cut your zip ties a lot more flush, so that way you don't end up cutting yourself, as opposed to these where it's a little bit more rounded. The edge of the cutters in recessed more, as opposed to these where it's right at the edge. Alright guys, y'all seen the pliers. Y'all see how fast it can accumulate, and that is the one thing with tools. I'll say it in every video. You may do one job and you need a certain plier to make it easier, which is what you want. So you invest in that extra plier, and then the next job comes along, you need another plier. It can just it just starts building up. I got 2 drawers full of pliers, right? And usually with me, I separate them out. But again, basic pliers that every guy should have is your standard needle nose. You can probably get away with not having the linesman pliers, but I find it's really good, so that way you can twist wires with these. Your side cutters, okay? You're always going to need to cut stuff. Your slip joint pliers. These can also double down as hose clamp pliers too if you need to. It just won't grip as well. You have the potential of losing grip on that hose clamp, and kind of struggle with it, but it still will work. And then your tongue and groove pliers, okay? You can go into Home Depot, Lowe's, any of your hardware stores, even your automotive stores like O'Reilly's, AutoZone. You're going to find these style pliers and their brands, but it's always good to have a basic set of pliers, so that way in the event that you don't have that specialty plier, you still have something that will generally work to the best of its ability, right? It's you can't blame a plier like this one for trying to pull a hose clamp off. It's a spring clamp, and it just keeps slipping off of there. It'll get it off over time as long as you can get a good grip on it, and you don't have any obstructions in the way. You can generally pull it off, as opposed to this one where it will clamp on really well, but it still work. It'll still work, right? So it's one of those things. You know, as you can see here, clamps on fine, but you know, if you're hitting against something or you're pulling at a certain angle, you have that potential to where it'll slip off and fly off or whatever, and it's gonna be a struggle. But again, so if you're looking at building up your tool collection, I suggest these 5 first, and then just start accumulating as you go along over time. So I appreciate y'all watching. Y'all have a good weekend.